Tom Fitton has been tracking the Mueller investigation from the very first day. He's also the president of Judicial Watch, and he joins us now. Tom, is that an unfair summary of what we've learned? Have I missed something? Have we gotten any indication of actual collusion a year into this?
No, we haven't. You've been much too charitable, Tucker. If honestly evaluated, the Mueller investigation has been an unmitigated disaster. If the media were covering the Mueller investigation the way it was covering the Trump presidency, I think we'd all agree it hasn't worked. It's failing. It was created based on an illegal leak by James Comey. Many of the people who inspired the Mueller investigation were fired from the government. Sally Yates, the acting attorney general, Andrew McCabe, the deputy AG, James Comey, the FBI director, Andrew McCabe, the deputy FBI director, all three fired for misconduct. They helped get the Mueller investigation rolling. You have the Clinton DNC dossier that was hidden from the American people being used evidently by Mueller. We have the Flynn investigation under attack because of the corrupt way in which it was initiated and investigated by the FBI, where they said he lied when evidently he didn't. And on top of that, we've got a federal judge questioning the ultimate authority of Mr. Mueller. And we still don't know what his authority is a year out, because he's evidently had secret conversations with the Justice Department about what his authority is. And on top of it, the Russia investigation, the key aspect of it, the Russia troll indictment, it's now being turned into an opportunity for the Russia intelligence operations to go into a federal court and demand evidence from Mr. Mueller about what they have on Russia intelligence operations, namely intervention in our elections. What a disaster for the rule of law. And frankly, the president has been victimized through all of this, because evidently there's nothing to justify an investigation of him requiring Justice Department resources and authorities the way that's been misused to date.
But I thought, and quickly, but I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, the whole point of an independent counsel is to assure the rest of us that the investigation is on the level, that it's not tainted by potential conflicts. Given that, why didn't Mueller try harder to at least seem bipartisan? Maybe hiring one registered Republican as an investigator. He didn't bother to do that.
Well, it's the arrogance of the deep state. They think they can do no wrong, and Mueller and Comey are part of the same team on that regard. On top of that, you have him hiring Democrats with abandon, and then you have the page-struck text messages. You know, he kept those two FBI agents off of his investigation because of bias, and hid that from the American people for 4 months. You know, Mr. Comey, if he were a typical government official, would have been asked to resign a long time ago.
Well, that's a really good point. Tom Fitton has been following this from day one. Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.
It's pretty obvious that the Democratic Party's relentless focus on Russia to the exclusion of all else, like issues that matter to people, may have been a mistake politically. An article this morning in the Daily Beast makes a ludicrous claim. It says that Democrats actually wanted to spend the last year and a half talking about real issues, health care and the economy, but they couldn't somehow because cable news stopped them. Rachel Maddow told them not to, apparently. Cable instead forced them to talk about Russia. They didn't want to. Luckily, we kept copies of the tape, and here's what they actually said about Russia.
There is no question that Russia attacked us.
Or attacks, ladies and gentlemen, on our Constitution.
Attack on the integrity of our elections.
An attack on our democracy.
We are only at the beginning of understanding what the Russians did to affect our elections.
I think there's a broad recognition among our members that Russia is not our friend.
Why does it not worry Donald Trump that the Russians, according to the intelligence community, tried to and indeed did kind of infiltrate and undermine our democracy by what they did?
Richard Goodstein is a lawyer. He advised both of Hillary Clinton's presidential campaigns, and he joins us tonight for what's going to be a tough conversation for him, I would say, Richard, because
I don't think so.
It's not really plausible to make the case that, look, you can argue that Russia hacked our elections, as Democrats have argued for the last year. They're our main enemy in the world, as they've also argued. And, you know, maybe time will prove you right. I doubt it, but maybe. You can't argue, if you're a Democrat, that what you really wanted to talk about was the issues. You didn't really want to talk about Russia. You just happened to talk about it nonstop for a year. Nobody's going to believe that because it's a lie.
Well, again, it's the intelligence community, Tucker, not Democrats, not Republicans. The intelligence community is the group that said that the Russians try to undermine our democracy. So don't lay that off on me or any Democrat.
Hold on. There's no intelligence community. There are a number of federal agencies, some exclusively devoted to intel gathering, others partly, like the Coast Guard. There's no intelligence community. There's no consensus on anything.
There's a director of national intelligence.
More than 3 pieces. Yeah,
there's a director of national intelligence. There's a head of CIA. Every single person who's charged with overseeing intelligence for this country, when asked, and when their agency was asked, said that the Russians tried to interfere. Look, the fact of the matter is, the Russians approached the Trump campaign and said, we have stolen materials. Would you like them from the Hillary Clinton campaign?
Right.
Donald Trump Jr. said, love it. Putting aside what ultimately happened later.
I would say we've plowed this ground before. What I'm asking was a political question. Clearly, this is not bearing fruit for the Democratic Party. Now their lead is within the margin of error. This is a political matter. It's just not working. Okay, they're not going to retake Congress on the strength of the Russia story. Now they're telling us we never wanted to talk about Russia in the first place. And all I'm saying is that's a lie. Yeah. And don't lie to me when I've been watching TV for the past year and all you've talked about is Russia. Did Rachel Maddow make you do that? I mean, like, don't lie to me.
Look, the fact is, I think there's 2 tracks. I think the fact is the Democratic Party knows it's not going to win this election. They're not going to win the 2018 elections just talking about Mueller or Trump even. They've got to have an affirmative agenda about economic justice and social justice, okay? But the fact of the matter is, Donald Trump, we used to say he was at historically low approval ratings. I checked today. Jimmy Carter actually edged him out. So he's now second most unpopular president this far into an administration.
Right. You're absolutely right. So why aren't the Democrats going to take Congress and put Pelosi back in the speaker's seat?
Every election, we just had that special election in Arizona. Trump won by 21. The Republican won by 5. Every single Republican who won the House last year by 16 points or under has to be looking over their shoulder and scared to death because this momentum is unabated.
No, but okay. Look, Democrats have a lot of energy. It's a midterm in the president's first term. Of course, they're going to gain seats. There have only been, I think, 2 elections in American history that didn't happen. So it's going to happen. But Democrats don't look like they are a lock to win back the House, given the president's relatively low popularity. And you're absolutely right. Half the country doesn't like him. Democrats should be way far ahead of where they are today. And the reason they're not farther ahead is because they're not running on anything. And to the extent they are, they're running on things like more abortion and more illegal aliens and things that are insane and scare people. And you know that.
Well, again, we'll see when 2018 midterms roll around. All we know is from every other single special election, the Democratic wave seems to be on the order of 10, 15%. And you can say what you want at this point. That will take out a lot of incumbent Republicans. Will it continue? That remains to be seen.
But that was going to happen no matter what. No, but hold on. Will you just, for the sake of honesty, will you concede the Democrats didn't spend the last year telling us that Russia hacked our election, whatever that means? It was a lie. But they didn't say that because Rachel Maddow made them or Morning Joe sent them a memo and they had to obey. They said it because they thought it would work, and it didn't.
They were horrified. They were horrified that the Republicans, that the Russians did this, and B, that the White House was indifferent or worse, was complicit. That's the thing that Democrats have been talking about.
They don't care about this country. If they cared about the country, they'd secure the borders and fight back against China. I mean, the countries that are actually controlling our policies get no pushback from the Democrats at all because they don't care.
We had a net outflow, frankly, from the U.S. to Mexico. In the last 4 or 5 years of the Obama administration, we had a net outflow. That's how much they care about the border. The people were leaving, not coming in.
Yeah. Richard Goodstein, thank you.
Sure.
Good to see you.